So I'm here with Connor Calland. Thank you so much, Connor, for being here for Excel 2020. So this is our industry expert interview. So I have a few questions for you, Connor, but I wondered if you could start by just telling us what your current role is in the performing arts industry.
Yes, so as I've been introduced, I'm Connor. I'm currently playing Jordan Price on the Hollyoaks. I've been there now since the start of 2020, so in January. I've also got a few other projects coming out this year, and I've done a few other TV and radio and film jobs over the past couple of years, and I recently graduated Royal Welsh a few years ago as well. So yeah, that's kind of a brief on me on current work.
Great. So my first question, as you kind of started to answer there, would be what kind of training or what's kind of brought you into being able to do this career? So what did you do in order to break it into the industry?
Um, I mean, it's a lot of people sort of assume it happens immediately when you get your first job. That's when you break in, but it's kind of been a slow progress, really. I mean, I started off doing, as most people do with acting, started doing like acting classes when I was younger, just to sort of do confidence building and social connections and work on reading and things like that. And then I did it as a subject when I was in high school. And then I went to college at Pendleton in Salford, which we was just discussing earlier. And I did a BTEC there where I did performing arts. And whilst I was at the college, I got recommended by one of the drama tutors there, Richard, to possibly, rather than consider a university option, as even though it was something that I was going to go to, and he didn't really have anything bad to say about it. He was pushing me towards a drama school, just because it was something that specialised in it, and we'd had ex-students from drama schools come in and do talks with us and interviews like this in person, just to talk about what it's like there and things like that. So I kind of just thought I might as well. I had a look at the drama school options and I kind of picked my top one. And with drama school, you have to pay for your audition, so it's about £60 an audition. So financially, I wasn't really in the best place to do it, so I could only afford one. Luckily, I was very fortunate to get in on my first year of auditioning to Royal Welsh College, and then it's just kind of been a process from there. I signed with my agent in my last year of drama school, and then since getting the first job with it was Doctor Who. It's kind of had a nice ball rolling from there, really. It's just been working away from there. So it's been a slow build from taking it from a hobby and gradually just building it into something that's I'm wanting to pursue a little bit more seriously. I'd say from about the age of 10. So, yeah.
Great. Okay. And you just mentioned that you obviously you have an agent. So the students are often asking, how to go about getting a good agent. I wonder if you could give some advice about that.
Yeah, there's a few ways of doing it, really. I mean, I was lucky enough with drama school in our third year. We have like a showcase where it's agents and casting directors and producers, and basically anybody who's got the capability to employ you will come and watch you in this showcase. You get 2 minutes on stage, um, and from there, I met quite a few agents and things like that. Obviously, I understand not everybody has that at their disposal and has that offered to them, but if you look at some venues within sort of Manchester, such as like the King's Arms Theatre or the Royal Exchange Studios, if there's enough of you together who can chip in 10, 15, £20 each to rent the space for a night, you can put on your own showcase. You can invite casting directors and agents to that who are local to Manchester. They can come and see you. You can send emails out to them. If you look on their websites for agencies, they always have a contact page, and they'll be getting emails constantly. So it's not like you're pestering them at all. It's kind of their job to be going through emails and looking for new talent and looking for work. So if you email them and just say, "Hi, my name's Connor. I'm currently about to graduate from university. I'm looking to take my career to the next point, and I wouldn't mind. So I've seen that you've got this actor on your books who I admire, or I've seen that you've cast on these jobs that I really like. It's the kind of direction I'd like to go. Is there any chance you can look at my CV? And then that's all you kind of need. Though they might reply, they might not. It's it's luck of the draw. Unfortunately, sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. Most of the time they do, I'd say. Um, but yeah, there's plenty of ways around it. I'd say if you can, once obviously lockdown is over, if you can all get together and do like a little showcase and do monologues, everyone doing the 2 minute monologue or duologues or something like that, just to show what you can do, as well as, even if you might have it on paper, it's always nice for somebody to visually see the work that you can create. It's, or if you put on your own play and invite people, there's numerous ways around it. It's just um, being confident enough to just say, yeah, come watch me, I'm worth watching. I think that's, having that self-confidence is very key, I feel.
Great. Maybe because you know, you had this experience of auditioning. I wonder if you could talk us through what's the process of, like, for instance, getting onto Hollyoaks. What was the process for you in terms of, you know, maybe being sent by your agent, but then the next stage?
Um, so the audition for Hollyoaks was very quick, actually, compared to some other jobs that I've auditioned for. Um, you kind of, most TV and film, anything that's sort of screen recorded work wise, your audition tends to be a self tape, sort of similar to how this is without the video call. It's how I'm framed on camera now. You'd kind of have somebody else with you to read in your lines, and you'd send this video off to the casting director. They'd watch it. They might invite you to a in-person sort of audition, which is what happened with Hollyoaks, as like a recall, I guess. And then from there, I got invited to a screen test, and then from there, it kind of got offered the job, and it happened over a sort of, I think it was about a 2 week period. But some jobs, trying to think, Kingsman, for instance, when I auditioned for that, I auditioned in sort of November time, beginning of November. I found out I got the job in January, and then I started about a week later filming. So the turnaround can be really quick, and you've just got to be prepared to go with the flow, I guess. So depends on some auditions, or casting directors have their own preferences, and directors do as well. So it's very selective to each individual. But it tends to, currently, it's a lot more self tapes you'll tend to find. So I think it's a good idea to start practicing with friends, just self tapes, doing mock self tapes, like monologues, and having an arsenal of them. And when you're writing off to agents or casting directors, if you've not got a show reel together, or if you've not got any previous work, you've got that to show your talent a little bit. You're not just going in with nothing. You've got at least a little something to say. I might not have been casting anything yet, but this is what I can do. Um, I think it's always just finding the benefits of turning something round, a negative of not having previous work to a positive of not having previous work. But yeah, each job will require different things for your audition. Sometimes it's 2 auditions. You could go on for about 5 or 6 auditions before you get a job. So whatever the job is, it depends, really.
Great. And could you, so much of our students will have much more experience of live theatre rather than acting for camera. And I wondered if you could speak a little bit about, because I imagine you might have also come up in that way of doing lots of live theatre and then later learning acting skills for camera. Could you say a little bit about the difference between those skills and maybe which you prefer?
Yeah. So yeah, literally up until about 2 years ago, all my experience was theatre and stage and a small bit of radio. I hadn't had any experience on a film set or in front of a camera, let alone in front of a camera. I did some uh, acting for screen at drama school, but that was kind of how this is set up, with a camera and a tripod, not really on a set. as much. I think the acting style, a lot of people say acting for screen and theatre is different, and I think it does have its differences, but it's got the exact same fundamentals, and it's you're doing the exact same job. You're just working in a different medium. So rather than having to perform for 500 to 1,000 people in a big space where you have to be big and have bigger gestures, you're working with something that's just on your face as a close-up, or on a mid shot, or a two shot. So it's then just having to, whatever he was doing on the stage, just dialing it back a little bit to feel a bit more naturalistic, as if it's in a conversation. So I think the actual what you're doing is, in my opinion anyway, I find it to be the exact same. It's a different medium, and it depends. Some people prefer naturalistic acting style. Some people prefer sort of an abstract acting style, and sort of maybe they prefer doing movement pieces and things like that. And it depends on what you're comparing it to, type of theatre you're comparing it to. But you can also have stylized film and TV shows. My personal preference, I'd say, would be a sort of screen job, but I'm still early stages of my career yet, and I've not really had a professional theatre job as such. I've done semi-professional and amateur theatre work, but I've not done something on a professional theatre stage yet. So it's hard to come to say which I prefer without having that experience. Most of my experience has been in front of a camera on a film set or a TV set or radio booth, and I think I've enjoyed them a lot, just simply for the fact I've never done them before. So every day when I'm on that set, I'm learning something completely new, or there's one aspect of the day where I'm thinking I've never done that before, or what the hell does that mean? It makes you feel a little stupid sometimes, but at the same time, it's good to feel that way, because you're learning something at least. So I think currently I prefer film and TV, but there's huge benefits to both, really. You get so much from both, so I wouldn't rule either jobs out.
Yeah. Okay, and I imagine because you're working on a really popular show like Hollyoaks at the minute, that you probably are now recognised, and the students wanted to know, how do you deal with that kind of public interaction?
Still trying to figure it all out, honestly. I think I'm very lucky in the sense of there's other people who get recognised a lot more than I do from the show, because they've been there for a lot longer. I'm still relatively new in the grand scheme of the show, but it is very weird going in the space of when I started the job, to the space of probably 2 weeks to a month, having fan pages and people write you letters and things like that. It is very peculiar, and I think it's just, for me, I think I love it. It's really nice to know that people are so supportive, and you've never met them before, but there's these people like that who send you so much love and support and encouragement, and it's because they love that program that you're on, and they want to see you flourish, and they want to see your career flourish. They don't want anybody to do a bad job, even if, like, I'm playing the bad guy in the show. Even the bad guy gets a lot of support from the fans, which is quite nice to know. So it's a weird one. It's such a weird one, but I enjoy it, because it's just a nice feeling to know that there's people like that who you've never met before, who want you to do well, who will send all the support. Yeah, it's just peculiar, really. Still trying to get my head around some of it, I guess.
Okay, and so we've got young people who obviously they're just about to maybe go into higher education, or just about to try and get their first job. And sometimes they're focused on, their acting skills and not so much on their professional skills. So what would be your sort of top tips on how to get the first job and be professional?
Ooh, yeah, I'd say your professional skills are, for me, a lot more important than your acting skills. I mean, as an example to why I'd say that, it'd be if you've seen a lot of TV and film and whatever medium it is, there's, not in a harsh way, but there's always somebody who you think a little less of acting skill wise, or there's somebody on the show who you think, they're not really the best actor. But the reason they've got that job is because their professional skills are probably through the roof. And it's their acting skills, the casting director might think, I'm a little lenient with it because they can learn on the job a little bit more. Um, so I'd say just keep in contact with everybody you meet, regardless of how big or small they are. You don't know where somebody's going to be in the next 5 years. They might be a friend who's just testing camera skills. They've just bought a new camera and they want to do a few short films or short clips. In another 5, 10 years, they could be a DOP on a huge film for Netflix. And that person may have the potential to mention your name in a meeting if they're looking for a specific actor. And they might know, I know this person, I grew up with them, or I've worked with them before. When I started out, they work really hard, they want to work, it's worth auditioning them at least. So I'd say keep your network open and try and keep in contact with people as best you can. Just be nice, and I think that's just a life thing in general, not just professional work. Just be nice. It's not, even if you don't get on with somebody, or you don't like somebody, or you have different opinions with somebody, they've got those opinions for a reason, and even though they might not be yours, doesn't mean they're not right to them. So I think, especially with current climates, a lot of people you meet people with different political views, for instance, and I've noticed some people ostracize other people because of political views, and they don't want to work with somebody because they're a conservative or they're a Labour supporter. And I think it's just put those differences aside, put any differences you've got aside, just get the job done, work as professionally. Kind of once the job's over, if you don't want to keep in contact with that person again, then you don't have to. But yeah, I think the main thing is just be nice, be confident, be self-assured. Some of the jobs I've had are from me just being a little cheeky and just asking and just saying, hey, I know you cast for this, I know you're working in this at the minute. I'm just wondering if there's anything spare. I love to just get involved in whatever way I can, even if it's just for one day or an hour. It's one extra thing I can put on my CV, especially when you're starting out as well. You just need that little bit of those little bits of things on there just to flesh things out. So yeah, just be confident to ask for something, be self-assured that you've got the talent for it, and just be nice. Really, they're the main three, I'd say.
Great. And this is a question from our employability officer. She wanted to know, what's the best mistake you've ever made?
Best mistake I have ever made? Made a lot of mistakes. I'd say, oh God, there are so many mistakes. I think there's just mistakes, little minor mistakes. It's the little mistakes that you make in a rehearsal, and little mistakes that you make on set, and little mistakes you make. Those little mistakes, even though they might seem minor at the time, are really big in the grand scheme, because those minor mistakes, it's a little bit embarrassing at the time when it happens. You kind of think, oh, I can't believe I said that word wrong, or I can't believe I did that when it clearly means this now that I read into it. But you subconsciously just change to the right way of doing it. I say the right way, the new way of doing it. And it's an automatic thing. You don't think about it the next time it comes along. Say if it's like the pronunciation of a word, and you're in a rehearsal room, and the first or second day of rehearsal, you say the word wrong, and your director tells you that's not how you say it. The next time you say that word, you say it the right way, and you're not thinking about it. And those little things always mount up. I think anytime you make a huge catastrophic mistake, you're then stuck in your head thinking about it a little bit. So I think the best mistakes I've ever made have always been those little ones in the rehearsal rooms, and those little ones when I've been on set and I kind of move somewhere on the set wrong and I block somebody in front of the camera. And then I kind of get explained, oh, you can't go there because the camera line of sight is that way. Or I've got a microphone attached to my chest and I zip up my jacket, or I rustle it a little bit and thinking, we can't hear you now. So try and not do that action. Because the next time we go to record that scene again, I naturally don't do that anymore, because you subconsciously just get past it a little quicker. And the more little mistakes you make, the funny enough, the less you make further down the line, and because you're learning from those previous ones. So yeah, those little mistakes, even though they might not seem too big at the time, I think they're the most important ones to make, especially early on, for sure.
Great. So it's kind of about, willing to take the risks, isn't it? And just learn by your own experience.
Yeah, 100%. I think, especially whilst you're in an educational environment like at university or college, that's where you want to make mistakes, because that's where you're learning. You don't want to be, like I say, you don't want to be on a big film job as a lead role and make a catastrophic mistake, do something completely wrong that you could have avoided further back down the line. But it happens. If it does happen, it's not the end of the world. It's better to make those mistakes earlier on in a safe environment where you're with friends, peers, teachers, who can just rectify it early on and nip it in the butt there and then. I think, yeah, I just think it's very key to make mistakes, as many mistakes as you can, because yeah, you in your head, you get past it a lot quicker when you're younger. You forget about it. Like when I was 18, 17, 18, anytime I made a mistake, you get a bit embarrassed because you're in front of your friends, but the next day you forget about it. You passed it by that point. So I'd rather be embarrassed for one day than embarrassed further down the line on a job, and it might stay with me a bit longer.
Okay, great. And I've got one last question for you, which has got two parts. So, what would you say is the best and the worst part of being an actor? So, in your job, so what would you think is the best and the worst?
Ooh. Best part. Oh, there's just so many good parts, really. It's hard to kind of pick a specific one. I think the people you meet and the things that you just get to do that. I mean, I get paid to pretend to be somebody else and have fun, essentially. And if you describe that to somebody who worked in a 9-to-5 office job, they wouldn't believe you. And I think it's just key to remember it's very blessed to be in the position where we're all in, because further down the line, when all the students are working in acting, or in whichever sort of performing field it is, you're getting paid to just have fun. It's not as stressful as a lot of other jobs are. And you meet so many just fun people. In your work, one day you might be working with a big celebrity name who you idolize, and then the next minute you're working in a small fringe theatre job with a load of new upcoming actors, who could be the next big thing. You don't know. But yeah, there's so many just positives to working in the field. And negatives, there's a fair few negatives as well. I think the main one is, well, I say the main one, there's a lot of main ones. I think you've got to be fully committed to it. I think it's hard to commit to acting whilst also committing to something as a fallback. I think, although that does sound like the sensible thing to say, and I probably should be encouraging people to have something to fall back on, I think it makes it a lot more harder, because 50% of your attention is on acting and 50% is on if acting doesn't go right. And I think in order to really succeed, you've got to just commit everything to it. Commit your social life, commit your family life, commit just everything, because you might get an audition one day for the following day, and you have to be in London at 7 a.m. and it's 11 o'clock at night and you've got to get there in the next 8 hours. And you've just got to be able to sort of do that. So I think that's the main one, is it takes a lot of commitment to do it and a lot of self-belief and thick skin. But also there's things like it's hard to stay in one place. I mean, you could be at home with family one day and then the next day when you get the job, you might have to move to London, Liverpool, America, Ireland, anywhere over the globe, really. Which also is a positive as well. It's push and pull, really. But yeah, I think the positives far outweigh the negatives on it, to be quite honest. And I think you can just have so much fun. You can just have such a fun life just pretending to be somebody else for a living, and people want to watch that and people want to pay you to do that. I think that's such a nice thing to be able to do. So yeah, just think of the positives. Any negatives that come through, just try and flip them around as best you can.
Great. And I lied. I said that was the last question, but I just thought there's probably some young people who are watching who are maybe a bit fearful that, that this kind of career, working in the performance industry is actually unreachable. And, or maybe their families are really concerned that it's not a real job. What would you say to encourage them?
That was exactly the situation that I was in. I know my parents wouldn't mind me saying they was very hesitant with me going into acting. Again, for the reasons that I described a second ago about is it financially stable for you? Are you going to be able to get a deposit on a house down the line? There's just numerous things that come into the factor of it, and it's the very like the very serious concerns, and obviously the concerns any parent would have in whatever field that you go into. I think for me, I made a decision early on. It was the only thing I felt that I enjoyed. I was confident at enjoying, and I just thought I'd rather commit 100% to something like acting. If it doesn't work out, at least it's not for a lack of trying. At least I'd give it a go. I've gone this far. If it doesn't work, okay, let's look at a different thing. Because at the end of the day, we're all young. If it doesn't work in 10 years, if you don't get an acting job in 10 years, you've still got a long time to find a new skill and develop that new skill and go into that. But I think if you commit fully to whatever it is, whether it's acting, directing, whatever, I think things will pay off 100%, and they'll pay off in dividends. I think with myself as an example, it was very early on that I made the decision, and my mum and dad tried to talk me out of it. And when I went to Pendleton, they were saying to do English literature and law and science and things that I wasn't really interested in, but it was the academic, it was the right thing to do further down the line in their opinion. But I knew if I did it, I wouldn't be committed, and it'd be very redundant in the long run because I'm just not interested in it. So I'm not going to want to succeed in it. Whereas with acting, I knew it was something I wanted to succeed in and I wanted to be successful in. And it is reachable because people are doing it. It's as simple as that. If it wasn't reachable, nobody would be doing it. But because people are there, people are succeeding with it, you can as well, really. I think it's just the main thing of fully committing to it. You won't get anywhere if you don't, really, with anything that you choose to do. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Connor, for your time. We wish you all the best with your career, but especially thank you for just giving your experience to these people that will come to the festival. So thank you very much.
No, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.